Giants walked on the earth, discoveries that will rewrite history. And a lot of discoveries have been made in North America, but of course they have not been included in anthropology and ancient history. We all have probably heard of the gigantic beings that supposedly walked the earth in the distant past, a lot of them of course before the great flood of Noah. Some called the Cyclops by the ancient Greeks, describing them with strange characteristics on their heads. That was at the time of Ulysses and the Odyssey, written by Homer. Mythologically speaking, every time a giant walks, an earthquake occurs, but there is a possibility that there is more to the giants than we have thought. Now, I'll leave a link below for you concerning the Nephilim, the fallen angels, and some have described them as being over 442 feet in height. This is in 1 Enoch. There were great giants whose height was 300 cubits, a cubit being 18 inches. This would make them 442 feet in height. Can you imagine? Also, the Qumran scrolls refer to them as being over 100 feet tall. But going back to this, they were, according to very ancient texts, giants. Now, some researchers believe the stories about these beings are not just fairy tales. Researchers point to the fact that numerous gigantic skeletons have been found in several countries and on all continents, from America to Egypt. Recently in Saudi Arabia, when they were looking for oil, they found gigantic ancient skeletons. Now, the mystery of the ancient civilization of giants remains one of the most debated enigmas and is an ongoing fight between myth and reality. And some believe that there is even some source of sort of secrecy when it comes to these giants, and evidence of their existence has been anything but accessible. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box. In the 1940s, archaeologists supervising excavations in Agrevada in Romania in search of priceless objects within the ruins of what was the greatest citadel of the great leader Burebista Dacian, came across an incredible discovery. One of the workers excavated a huge skull, 3 times the size of a normal human skull today. When archaeologists were notified, workers were immediately fired and the investigators resumed excavations on their own. Everything that was found was loaded into military trucks and sent away. And according to reports, they had collected about 80 skeletons, most of them nearly intact, of such giants. 80 skeletons. But this discovery in Romania is just one of those mysterious findings. There have been numerous other excavations that ended up with similar results. In recent years, inhabitants of Skyeni discovered an ancient cemetery of giants while planting apple orchards, just like the giants discovered in Romania. These too had skulls 3 times larger than ordinary human skulls. Along with the skeletons, villagers also found fragments of pottery, jewelry, and strange metal statues. According to local reports, after the discovery, a team of archaeologists came, excavated the area, and disappeared mysteriously with whatever they had. Now, no public statement was made, and everything had to do with the discovery quickly became just a story with no solid background, apparently. But is this just mythology? Apparently not, since there are abundant legends of giants in the area. According to folklore, the giants inhabited the mountains and forests around Skyeni, and it is said that huge thrones were found carved into the mountainside, and these thrones were inaccessible to, this area was inaccessible to ordinary humans. Legends say that there are 2 gigantic underground vaults beneath the mountains containing the ancient treasures of the giants. And remember that there are plenty of stories speaking of giants in many religious texts, including the Bible and the Book of Enoch, also the Qumran scrolls, the Book of Giants. Genesis 6:4 says, "There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old men of renown. The Nephilim are believed to have been the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men before the deluge, before Noah's flood, that is. This is according to Genesis 6:4. The name is also used in reference to giants who inhabited Canaan at the time of the Israelite conquest of Canaan, according to Numbers 13:33. That's at the time of the Exodus, when one man of each tribe, one of the 12 tribes of Israel, were sent as spies to find out what was going on in that area of the Promised Land. And they were, the humans, that is, the tribes of Israel, were as grasshoppers to these giants, and that's how huge they were. Numbers 13:33 says, "And there we saw the Nephilim, the sons of Anak, who came of the Nephilim, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight." So, are these discoveries proof that giants did in fact walk on earth in the distant past? After all, mentions of giants can be found in numerous religious texts. Why mainstream archaeology and science is hiding such findings is an interesting question, one that eventually must be answered. Now, there are those who have written books about ancient giant skeletons. One of them is Ancient Giants Who Ruled America, The Missing Skeletons and the Great Smithsonian Cover-Up, and it's on paperback and Kindle. And it's a study of substantial evidence of former race of giants in North America, and it's a 150-year suppression by Smithsonian Institute. It shows thousands of giant skeletons have been found, specifically around the Mississippi Valley, as well as the ruins of the giant cities. It explores 400 years of giant finds, including newspaper articles, first-person accounts, state historical records, and illustrated field reports, revealing Stone Henge era megalithic burial complexes on Catalina Island with over 4,000 giant skeletons, including kings more than 9 feet tall, including more than 100 rare photographs and illustrations of the lost evidence. Drawing on the 400 years of newspaper article photos, first-person account, historical records, he shows how thousands of giant skeletons have been unearthed at mound builder sites across North America, only to disappear from historical record. He examines other concealed giant discoveries, such as giant mummies found in Spirit Cave, Nevada, wrapped in fine textiles dating to 8,000 BC, that's over 10,000 years ago. And this is Anthropology, Archaeology of North America. A lot of these American universities, they have digs and spend a lot of time digging in ancient areas, ancient Egypt, ancient Israel. They find so many things. But nobody really goes into the trouble of exploring what's under the North American continent. Now, hundreds of red-haired bog mummies were found at sinkholes, cenotes in the west coast of Florida. They date back to 7,500 BC, that's 9,500 years ago, and the ruins of giant cities with populations in excess of 100,000, Arizona, Oklahoma, Alabama, Louisiana. Duher shows the suppression began a little after the Civil War and transformed into an outright cover-up in 1879 when Major John Wesley Powell was appointed Smithsonian Director, launching a strict pro-evolution, pro-manifest destiny agenda. He reveals the 1920s discovery Catalina Island of a megalithic burial complex with 6,000 years of continuous burials and over 4,000 skeletons, including a succession of kings and queens. Some were over 9 feet tall, the evidence of which is hidden in the restricted access evidence rooms at the Smithsonian. I'll leave a link below for you. This is a brief of that book, The Ancient Giants Who Ruled America, The Missing Skeletons and the Great Smithsonian Cover-Up. So, there's a lot there that has to be looked into. Please leave your comments. This was also on Blended Reality. And thank you for your support.